Welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Last time we entered the Woodfall Temple, so this time we're making our way through more of the dungeon. Now that we have a small key, we need to make our way over to the west side of the main chamber to enter a locked door that we passed by earlier. Before we go inside, I do want to mention that we do need Deku Sticks for something coming up shortly. If you defeat a Deku Baba while its stem is vertical, it'll drop a Deku Stick, otherwise it'll drop a Deku Nut. The Deku Baba at the top of this room will always drop a Deku Stick, and also will respawn. So yeah, this is the best place to get Deku Sticks quickly within this dungeon. So let's move on. This looks pretty light. Well, don't just stand there. Press A to grab it and use the control stick to move it. We actually don't want to push it from this side, so we'll actually bounce over to the outer perimeter of this room and make our way around. Along the way, there is a Skulltula in this corner that we do need to fight because this one does have a stray fairy. So let's defeat it quickly. You found a stray fairy. This is your 6th one. Alright, next up, let's push the block, and before we move on, I also want to look up here to the underside of this platform because there's this hive with another stray fairy. You found a stray fairy. This is your 7th one. So, now that the way is clear, let's actually try to light a torch on the opposite side of this room. To do so, we'll be using a Deku Stick. This is actually kind of scary because the Deku Stick will eventually burn up, and also the moths will chase you and attack you, so definitely hurry to the other side, but also be careful because you don't want to fall into the poison water either. Also, as a word of advice, if you stand still, you'll get an option to put away an item with A. However, with the Deku Sticks in particular, I recommend actually pressing B to swing your sword, because that'll put the item away really quickly, and reduce the chances of it burning up. Also, there's a stray fairy below this platform. We actually can't get this one yet, so we'll have to move on. Through here, we have some more dragonflies to deal with. Let's try using the blast mask here to get both of them. You found the compass. Now, many of the dungeon's hidden things will appear on the map. So now we'll be able to see the locations of treasures, and also we can see our own location indicated by the yellow triangle. Next up, we have another torch to light at the top of this room. So like before, we'll light this torch, or light this Deku Stick, and quickly run up to the top of the stairs, and then press B as soon as the torch is lit. Now reset the timer, and now we have to carefully jump across these platforms to the other side, like so. Alright, so we burnt that web, so we can make our way to the next floor of Woodfall Temple. Be careful, I sense a lot of evil here. We have a very poorly lit chamber with a ton of enemies lurking in the dark. So be careful, try to not rush in. And we also have a torch in the center of the room, along with some unlit torches around the perimeter. So to have a better idea of what all is in here, let's try to carefully climb up here. There are a couple enemies, I guess, but we also can light the torches around the area. By the way, The torches around the area, if you don't light them all fast enough, will extinguish. So you do have to light all three quickly. So the first one's over here, so we just have to kind of make this little like outer circle like so. And now it's a lot easier to see where all the enemies are, which is very helpful. And defeating the enemies makes a chest appear. You found a stray fairy. This is your 8th one. Next up, we have a very interesting chamber. A lot can go wrong here, so I hope this is actually relatively hassle-free. We have to fly over to the other side of the room, but we have moving platforms and dragonflies to contend with. I recommend trying to defeat dragonflies first so they're not in your way, but it can be easier said than done, especially with the moving platforms and the dragonflies themselves moving. Luckily, we actually got both really quickly. There is a floor with gaps in this room. If you fall into one of those pits, you will end up in the main chamber again. So yeah, it's not like a bottomless pit or anything, but if you do fall, you basically will have to backtrack all the way over to this chamber again. So yeah, definitely make sure not to fall here. I definitely feel like the Deku flying can be a little bit unwieldy at times, and then yeah, having to contend with enemies along the way definitely doesn't help. So yeah, trying to clear a path is definitely would be my suggestion of the first thing to do here. Sometimes it's difficult because of just like trying to line up bubble shots with the dragonflies because of all the movement. But luckily this actually went pretty smoothly, and we can make our way over to the exit on the other side. From here, there's a couple things we can do. First of all, let's actually help out this stray fairy. You found a stray fairy. This is your 9th one. Next up, let's actually activate the switch, but unfortunately, Deku Link isn't actually heavy enough to weigh this down, so we'll have to change back. Look, from up here, we have a better view of that shrine below. So ultimately, we need to find a way to light the torch at the center of the shrine, but there's the question of how do we reach that? In the meantime, let's actually head over to this area again, and use the Deku Flower. We can use this flower to fly over to another switch in this corner by another unlit torch. Alright, so that made a chest appear, but now we have the fun task of actually trying to get back onto solid ground. Luckily that wasn't too bad. So we can make our way up here to this next treasure. You found a stray fairy. This is your 10th one. Next up, we have to carefully bounce over to... As I was saying, we have to carefully bounce over to the other side, but I didn't actually have my momentum, so I just plummeted. Luckily, we actually didn't take damage from that. I'm actually surprised that falling into the poison doesn't actually deal damage. Alright, so let's make our way through this door and see what's next. We have a better view of this little ice switch above where we found the key, but we still have nothing to activate that with. So instead, let's head to the door on the opposite side. Next up, we have to fight a Dynalphos, a very interesting mini-boss. It can breathe fire, so definitely don't fight this as a Deku Scrub, because the Deku form is extremely weak to fire. Definitely fight it as Hylian. Try to keep your distance, get in as many hits as you can, while also trying to be a little bit careful, like so. You can also perform jump attacks, which definitely can be a little bit unpredictable, but still not overly difficult to avoid. You got the Hero's Bow. Set it to C to equip it. Press C to draw it, press and hold C to aim, release C to shoot. So we finally have a bow. So let's head back over to the East Chamber and finally activate this eye switch. Let's head over to this corner over here so we have a better shot at it. And now we have to very carefully bounce to this platform moving up and down. It honestly feels scarier than it actually is. I almost never mess up that jump, even though it does feel a little bit intimidating jumping from the upper ledge to the water like that. And we actually have another mini-boss. This is Gecko. Overall, not too scary. So let's try to, get a little bit closer and get a jump attack in to deal a lot of damage. And of course, it's not that simple. We also have a phase 2 involving another one of these turtles. Again, you can use the Deku flowers and pop up from below, or you can also use bombs. I honestly find bombs a lot more efficient, to be honest. The blast mask will also work, but yeah, I find bombs faster in this case. And then as Gecko climbs the ceiling, just take shots with arrows. Deal damage, like so. This is not going great, to be honest. There we go, finally. And one more cycle should be enough here. I am having a hard time locking onto Gecko here. Alright, that definitely could have gone a little bit smoother, but now that we've defeated Gecko, they've actually turned into a normal frog. This frog is actually part of a side quest that unfortunately we will not be doing for a very long time, because it is tied to a heart piece. But it's still worth pointing out the frog's location. So with that taken care of, let's head through here, try to break these jars, since we definitely used up more arrows than I would have liked to have used, but these are only rupees, sadly. You got the boss key. Now you can enter the chamber where the boss lurks. Alright, so we can make our way over to the boss of Woodfall Temple. However, we actually need to go back for something else first. There is a stray fairy that we need to collect, so let's figure out how to get back to the west side first of all. I guess we can use this. I suppose we could also just, like, hop across the water to the lower level. That would have worked too. But this is fine. Actually, we need to be on the upper ledge anyway for something else. So, now that we've lit the torch on the shrine, the water has been purified, and also it's spinning. So, there's still one more unlit torch in this corner. So, let's carefully hop over to the spinning platform and try to line up this shot. This is actually kind of tricky. I definitely was aiming too high there. And yeah, it's a combination of timing and aim, which is definitely kind of tricky here. It doesn't help that the dead zones on a lot of, like, modern versions of this game aren't great. So yeah, definitely lining up certain shots like that with the arrows is actually surprisingly difficult at times. Alright, so let's make our way over here again to try to rescue the stray fairy. We can actually swim now because the water is fine. We actually can't climb up here. I didn't actually know that. So let's actually head back over here after all, move the block out of the way, and basically go to the entrance to where the compass was, because that's our best shot at actually reaching it with an arrow. But also, we definitely want to equip the Stray Fairy Mask to make this a little bit easier. Yeah, I definitely used more arrows on the Gecko fight than I would have liked. You found the Stray Fairy. This is your 11th one. So that's actually all the Stray Fairies until the final part of the dungeon, so we should be good to go there. In the meantime, I guess we have to jump across the water again. Go up the ladder, and then go through the door that we just opened up. Before we do so, I think I will make a detour to this little ledge, just in the off chance that one of these has arrows. Well, there's magic and arrows, so that was not bad. Because there is something coming up that does need arrows, and I would really not like... I would really not like to run out in the middle of, like, something major like this. Alright, so let's climb up here, hop across, and, actually we don't have to hop across, it's on the other side of this little, like, ledge. Alright, so through here should be the end of the dungeon. There's the boss door over there, but we also have a couple more stray fairies to collect, along with dragonflies to fight. I am actually amazed at how well that worked. Again, you found a stray fairy. This is your 12th one. As I was saying, yeah, the dead zones for sometimes, for, like, the analog controls in, like, ever since, like, the Wii Virtual Console have not been great, and I feel like this isn't ideal either, but I almost feel like it's a little bit better, at least. Like, I remember struggling a lot with the Wii version, not to say that this is, yeah, ideal as, like, playing on original hardware, if that makes sense. Next up, we have a couple of blue rupees on this ledge, might as well pick them up. We actually do need to save up a lot of rupees for something later on. There is an unlock tied to the bank, so we actually do need like 200 rupees, preferably by the end of this cycle. If not, we can easily get that in the next cycle with the silver rupee in Clock Town, so it's not a big deal if we don't get it right away, but it would be kind of nice, to be honest. And there's also another stray fairy on top of this ledge, in this little, like, alcove. You found a stray fairy. This is your 13th one. Next up, I actually want to jump down to this ledge. From here, we have to hit this crystal. And we have to carefully fly to the other side. This is why I like not being on the absolute highest ledge, because it actually makes landing on this platform a little bit tougher. From here, we have to fly to this pillar that was on fire. The timer is actually shockingly generous, to be honest. I definitely don't recommend, like, taking too much time, but yeah, it is a surprisingly generous timer. Finally, we have 2 more stray fairies in these 2 alcoves, so let's pop both bubbles here. You found a stray fairy, this is your 14th one. You found all the stray fairies. Quick, take them to their fellow fairies of the same color. And that takes care of all of the stray fairies in the Woodfall Temple. So all that's left to do is fly over to the boss door and see what awaits us. There are a couple of red rupees on the pillars. I can't say I'm overly concerned because that would mean I have to like deactivate the flames again. So yeah, we'll find rupees somewhere else. This is the Masked Jungle Warrior, Odolwa. A very interesting first boss, actually. You can stun him with arrows and then run up to deal a lot of damage, like so. That's actually a very good cycle there. You can also dance, and you can also summon enemies. You can also perform the spin attack, which I honestly forgot about until now. Alright, that was a very good start to the fight. This tends to give me trouble, so I'm actually kind of amazed. I guess we can't stun him while he's doing this attack. Which is a little bit unfortunate. This is actually difficult. Yeah, he's really performing the spin attack a lot more than usual. Again, since I usually forget about this attack entirely. You can also jump behind you, like that. And we have these little insects to fight now. Luckily they do drop like hearts and arrows, so if you need like health or more arrows, that's actually kind of helpful in a way. We got this done. Other than the constant spinning, that's actually one of the smoothest Odolwa fights I've ever had. By the way, it's worth mentioning that every fight has actually been reworked in the 3DS version. So for example, for Odolwa, you have to fly up using the Deku form, drop Deku Nuts from above to stun him, and then attack a giant eye that appears. Frankly, a lot of the boss changes are very polarizing, which is part of the reason why a lot of people prefer this version. Alright, so let's collect Odolwa's mask. You've seized Odolwa's remains. You have just freed the innocent spirit that this dark mask had kept imprisoned within the body of evil Odolwa. What's that? Wait, listen, it seems to be saying something. Could that crying be its way of teaching us some sort of melody? Don't just stand there, get your instrument. You learned the Oath to Order. Call us. That's what it's saying. The 4 people Tail talked about. Do you think he was talking about the spirit that was sealed inside that mask? Oh, hey, you were pretty good out there. Have you done this before or what? Now, just keep up that pace and save the other 3. Hey! All that stuff I did to you, your horse, I apologize. Sorry. There, I apologized, so don't hold it against me, got it? Now then, we've helped the princess just like the monkey asked. So now our next stop is in the mountains. Let's hurry and do something about that Skull Kid. We're actually not quite done yet in the Woodfall area, so we'll be finishing up exploring this area next time. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more of The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask.